do not necessarily represent those of the station or its advertisers, although we think they should. But that's the opinion of America Matters Media.
Vote for me and all such a thing. Freedom is just another word for nothing left to lose. Come together right now over me.
All right, you know what that theme song means by now. That's right. It's another episode of America Matters with Eddie Floyd, Leo Zacky. Today we've got Ray Rocha, and we also have our correspondent from Jerusalem, Shay Diane. He's joining us on the set today. So we want you to get involved. Today's going to be a very, very special show as far as everybody's concerned. I'm going to turn it over now to a dear friend of America Matters Media, none other than Don Thompson. I'm going to have him introduce a very special guest today, and also we're going to talk about his documentary. So, Don, once again, welcome to America Matters, my friend.
Well, thank you so much, Eddie, for having us on. We really appreciate you and what you're doing out in California. We know you're in the center of the universe when it comes to the leftist movement. So we want to be on your radio and on your podcast.
I love you saying that. And of course, Leo Zacky would agree with you. He's running for governor, and that's why he's running for governor, because it's become a gigantic outdoor insane asylum. Well, we have some very special guests on today, and I'd like you, if you're looking at the video right now, you can introduce them and ask them all, because we're not going to take a break until the bottom of the hour so that we can get everybody in, and plus from the bottom to the top of the next hour, no more breaks, because I want everybody to know about this documentary. That's how important I feel it is. So take it away, Don.
Well, first of all, I want to introduce to everybody Admiral Chuck Kubic. He is a great guy. You know, I asked him to be in the movie, and I asked him only to answer one question. And I wanted him to answer about gun control. And we went to the beach, and while we were on the beach filming, I just kept asking him questions. And an hour later, he had answered every question remarkably well. He was just great. And he's kind of become the narrator for the movie because all of his answers are so good. We just had to put him on. So I think he's on with us. I believe I see him there in the corner.
Hey, thanks, Don. It was an honor to participate in this film.
You know, if you don't mind, I'm going to take over right now and ask you to personalize today's show for a lot of the new viewers. We're on television as well as radio nationwide, and we stream around the world. So personalize the show. Where were you born, educated, and what led you to today? What have you been doing to bring us to today?
Well, I was born in Memphis, Tennessee, and when I was a little boy, we would go to Florida every summer, and we'd sit on the beach, and I became interested in why Cubans were coming across to Florida. And I would ask my father, are we going to see any of them? And he said to me, you know, we just might. And I became fascinated about why anyone would leave their country and get on a risky raft, come across 90 miles of water to come to the United States. And as I grew up, I began to understand that those people were running away from communism. So I became interested in why communism was so bad and why the United States was so good. So I spent my life not liking communism and really wanting to learn more about it. And that gave me the opportunity to make a documentary, and that's where we ended up today.
You know what, and I love that documentary because I've had the opportunity to not only watch it a couple times, but I've given it to every family member and friend. It's so important that they do that. Now, you've invited some very, very special people who were involved in this documentary. How about you taking the time to introduce them one at a time, and same question to them. Where were they born, educated, and why are they involved in the documentary?
Well, why don't you start, Admiral Kubic?
Okay, Don. See, I was born in Greensburg, Pennsylvania, a long time ago, and while I was growing up, I listened to the stories of my grandfather, who was the doughboy of World War I, was in Paris when the armistice was signed, and my dad, who was a B-24 aviator in World War II, And I thought I would go into the military, but that suspicion was confirmed when I drew number 12 in the first draft lottery and ended up enlisting as a seaman recruit in the Navy Reserve so I could finish my engineering degree. When I graduated, I went to OCS, and because I was an engineer, I got a billet with the United States Navy fighting Seabees and ended up in Vietnam anyhow for what I thought would be a 3-year stint in the Navy, and 3 years turned into 32 years. I retired as a rear admiral in command of all their 16,000 Navy Seabees. And during that time, I had great opportunities to get advanced education degrees. I was a White House fellow during the Reagan administration. I was a national security policy advisor to then candidate Trump during 2016. And again, have lived and worked all over the world, been on all 7 continents and 102 countries. So again, I got involved in this, I think, because of my role as the national spokesman for Veterans for America First. And Don contacted me, explained the project, and I was delighted to be included.
Wow, that's great. So right on down the line. Continue on, Don.
Well, my screen's so small. Is that Rod next to you on the screen there?
I believe Rob's on. Rob, can you hear us?
Sure can. How's it going, Eddie?
Oh, it's going great, Rob. So great to see you again. And I know you, like me, just absolutely love this documentary, correct?
Yes, sir. I spoke to Don for the first time maybe about an hour ago, actually. So I love what he's doing, and it's just an honor to be sharing the same screen and the airwaves with these gentlemen.
Wow, that is so wonderful. So let's go to our next guest, Don.
That's Frank. Is that? I can't see who it is in that bottom screen. Is that you, Frank?
Yeah, that's me here. I can see you very well.
Yeah, you know what? I'll take it from here. Don, I'm going to ask you if you've got your phone on speaker, put it on regular, or you're probably talking right now, I believe, into the microphone on your headset, correct?
Yes.
Okay, well, it's coming across just a little bit etchy, but let's do this. Frank, if you don't mind, Professor, tell everyone listening where you were born, educated, and what got you involved in this unbelievable documentary.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for having us here in America Media Matters. I was born in Camagüey, Cuba in 1943, and I grew up when Cuba was one of the best countries in Latin America. We had capitalism. We had the peso had the same value as the dollar. We had no inflation. It was just a wonderful nation. And so I grew up in the 1950s, and I came to study when I was 14 years old to Admiral Farragut Academy in St. Petersburg, Florida. Many of my classmates went to Annapolis Admiral Kubic, but I went to war in Cuba when I was 17 years old. I graduated from Admiral Farragut in 1960. I went to Georgia Tech for 2 quarters. And in mid-March 1961, my brother, who's 2 years older than me, Jorge, and I was 17, had to fight my father for him to give me permission to go because I was a minor. But finally, I persuaded my dad to let me go. And then we went to Guatemala, and we were trained by U.S. Army specialists and CIA operators, and then we should have won if we had followed the plan that Eisenhower had prepared with the CIA and the Pentagon. But all the plans were totally changed by the Kennedy administration. But a bunch of globalists of the New World Order there, like Dean Rusk, who worked for the Rockefeller Foundation for 10 years. He didn't pay any attention to Kennedy. He followed whatever David Rockefeller told him to do. And David Rockefeller wanted us to lose to consolidate the Castro regime in Cuba.
Wow.
So they committed high treason, criminal negligence, dereliction of duty. They changed all the plans. We were supposed to invade in Trinidad, right next to the Escambray Mountains. They had piers for our obsolete World War II Liberty-type ships. And they sent us to the Bay of Pigs, which was to die there because there were no piers. There was no way we could bring down their weapons. And also there were 5 air attacks planned prior to D-Day, April 17, 1961. And the first airstrike was paired from 16 planes, B-26 to 8, and then the rest were canceled. So they should cancel the whole operation, but they sent us to die.
Wow.
And it was a terrible experience, and I was severely tortured for 2 years in Cuba. along with 12 other prisoners, but at least President Kennedy got us out. For that, I would always be grateful.
Right.
And he negotiated a release after 2 years, and we were taken out of jail and came to the United States.
Wow. You know, Professor, I'm going to jump in real quick, and then I'll go back to Don, because we also have on the regular phone line with us Ken Nuss. This is going to break a record, today's show, with Leo and myself and Ray and Shay, and we're looking really good. But Chuck, I'm going to come to you right now, sir, if you don't mind, because what the professor just said and what you've said in the past and even probably today makes me scratch my head. Why is the American people so stupid? Why are they so stupid not to realize what socialism can actually turn into and do to the civilians in their country? Am I right, Chuck?
Well, I think that what they are is they are blissfully ignorant of what's happening, to them. This is the whole theme of how to boil or how to cook a frog. When it happens to you in small doses over sustained periods of time, the American people are resilient and they tend to adapt. And when you get to a point in a country where you're basically at almost a 50-50 split between those who desire freedom and those who desire some sort of government support, they get kind of lured by the idea of free money, free support, not having to work, and they become insensitive to what's happening. And those who are pushing this communist, what I would almost call emerging in the United States, a fascist oligarchy, where we have a strong central government pushing its agenda through large corporations because they can't do it themselves, because the Constitution guarantees us rights that they can't abridge.
Wow.
And when they do this, they're kind of following one of Sun Tzu's principles, and that was when you're an army and you're looking to attack, you should defend what you have until it's safe to attack. And you have the power. So what they do is they ratchet it up on you from one administration to another. We saw President Trump come in and take on all these interests and basically make some dramatic changes, many of which now are being undone, and we're slipping back into the socialist environment by the current administration. And so our only hope is to get the power back, begin to ratchet it back so that they cannot continue to boil those of us who are starting to feel like frogs.
Wow. I tell you what, Chuck, and thank you so much for that. We want to go to Leo now, because, Leo, I'll start off by telling you, if everybody on today's show voted for you for governor in California, it's going to be a landslide, brother.
I love it, and I'm looking forward to making that happen. But yes. I have to agree with the Rear Admiral that people are just willfully ignorant, and they're just being lulled into this whole thing. And there's so many distractions out there in the world that are being thrown at people, and it becomes overwhelming. And I noticed that even in my friend group, because we're in our early 30s or late 20s, and people are starting to settle down and want to have families, and they're now becoming so family focused that they just want to cast all the issues of the world aside and focus on that. And I can understand the allure of that blissful ignorance. However, if we don't pay attention and stay on top of what is going on, our children, our future will not be free, and we will be doomed to the globalist agenda that is one world government and enslavement and depopulation.
Wow. So very, very well said. Now, Ken, you could hear everything, I assume. You're on the audio line. Is that okay? If you can hear everything, I think Leo and I think Chuck, Rob, Don, and Frank have said exactly what all of us are feeling. Everybody has to do something, and if you don't know what to do, listen to me very closely. Damn it, do something. It's just that simple. That's my opinion on it. So, Ken, would you agree with that assessment?
I agree 100%. And we have Rob Hollingsworth on. And when we talk about government overreach, it is everywhere. And I want Rob to just tell his story real quick, because it's about how well, Rob, go ahead. Tell him what you did, and it touches everyone's lives when the police department and law enforcement are are told what they can and can't do.
Yeah,
so, Rob, go ahead.
Thank you for that, Ken. Yeah, take it away, Rob.
Yeah, so I might be jumping the gun, pun intended, with the How to Cook a Frog. The final scenarios of them coming after our guns and citizens' rights to defend themselves from tyranny. But yeah, I was a police officer in Vegas and then up in Washington State. I'd responded to the shooting at Mandalay Bay in 2017, if we want to go into that. But I have never in my career as a law enforcement officer seen a problem of law-abiding citizens with legal guns out committing felonious acts.
Wow.
Time and time again, they are stolen. These aren't acquired. And as the government continues to hamper down on this anti-police rhetoric, what you're seeing is a divide in the police departments as well. And that's also going to contribute to our country's demise when you're handcuffing, again, with a pun, the police officers and their ability or even their desire to do their job. Now we're jumping off a cliff.
Wow. You know, Rob, so well said. One of the things that I want everybody to respond to is the fact that I said it earlier. You know, it seems as if our people are so ignorant right now. People keep telling them over and over and over again. People listen to people like Chuck, to Frank, to Don, and to Rob. They hear the stories. Leo and I do this on a daily basis, and people come and join me here at the Reno Town Mall. But it's very, very alarming to me that we're not waking up. Is that because our kids have been so indoctrinated in school that that's what we're trying to deal with? What say you, Ray?
You know, this has been going on since the beginning of the 1900s. It's been a gradual thing, and that's why the cook frog story makes sense. They fed us a little bit at a time, but it started with education a little, and it's gotten worse now, where it's gone from colleges clear down to kindergarten, indoctrinating the people that are in power today.
Yep. You know, Ray, I'm going to go to Don because the whole time you were talking, you can't see him, but I see Don shaking his head right now. I see him shaking his head as to you are, in my opinion, and obviously Don's opinion, absolutely correct. They've been indoctrinated. You know, it's difficult to train a brick after they have become a brick, right, Don?
Yes, sir. That's exactly what they've done. The communists are experts at this. They've done this over and over again, and they know that if they can capture the minds of young children in a few generations, they will have them. And that's where we are right now. Many kids today think socialism is better than capitalism. I can't even imagine that concept growing up, but that's the way it is today. Kids are coming out of these schools, these government schools, where the teachers' unions have taken control, and they're controlling the minds of our children. In my opinion, every parent, every patriot should homeschool their children so they can teach them civics, they can teach them the government, they can teach them about communism and how evil it is. But that's just my opinion.
Right. Well, it's an opinion shared by, I think, everybody on the panel today, but I'm going to ask you to do this, and then we'll move on a little bit to other people. But if people want to watch How to Cook a Frog, what is their best bet to do that, Don, right now today?
Well, right now, they can go right now to the website, and the website is, of course, www.howtocookafrog.us. It's .us, not .com. So howtocookafrog.us. And you can just click on that link. It's on Rumble, and it's free to watch it. It's 93 minutes long, but it's very good. My voice is not even on the film. It's the voices of real Americans who grew up in communist countries, and they all have a testimony about how they came to this country and how now these are all U.S. citizens, and they're going to tell you what to look out for. You're going to warn the American people about what's about to happen because they've experienced it firsthand.
Right. And that's what I don't understand. You know, I mean, like when they would tell me things like, you know, hey, if the doctor told me, we only had one doctor in my little hometown, and if he ever said to me, Eddie, this is going to hurt a little bit, I started running. Okay. I started running because I knew he knew what he was talking about, and I didn't want to feel the pain. What's wrong with us Americans not listening to everybody who's experienced it? I'll go to you, Ray. Go ahead.
Again, it's been said a little bit earlier. People are too busy in their world, including like Leo saying that the young people that just getting families and everything. And this has gone on for a long time. Mm-hmm. I don't have time for politics. I got to raise my kids, got to make a living. And outside of political junkies, most people aren't aware of what's really going on. And the more money they get, oh, that's okay. I don't have to work.
Oh, listen, are you kidding me? They're so indoctrinated to get money, not work, not do anything, and they don't care as long as the party who keeps paying them gets back in office. Why do you think we're opening up these borders? Why do you think? Do you think it's because everybody on the left side of the aisle is so humanitarian that they want these people to come in and give them a good, secure job? Hell no. They want them to come in and vote, right,
Except Leo? It could backfire.
Leo? Go ahead.
No, they want them to vote, and they also have them come in as cheap labor that undercuts Americans, that makes the American citizens dependent on the government, and thus develops the vicious cycle of people falling into this communism and socialism, where they get a handout from the government because there's illegal immigrants that come to this country and will work the same jobs as Americans for less money. And that's why you hear these idiots on the left constantly saying Americans don't want to work these jobs. It's not that Americans don't want to work these jobs. It's that the legislature has put all these burdens on the businesses where it becomes cost prohibitive to operate in the United States. And the only way that these companies can survive is to hire illegal immigrants that undercut the U.S. citizen, because they will save money on their employment, which employing anybody in a business takes about 40% of that company's gross.
Wow. You know, Donna, I'm watching you and I'm watching Rob. Both of you are agreeing with Leo right now. We only have about 30 seconds. So we're going to take one and only one break at the bottom of the hour. It's kind of like a mandatory break. And we want to say hello and welcome to Radio for America. We want to say hello to America Matters Media, joining forces right now, not just in the state of Nevada, but nationwide and around the world. This show is being seen and heard around the world, and we will be right back.
Have you, a friend or family member, been diagnosed with cancer? Dr. Forsythe at the Forsythe Cancer Care Center offers an all-inclusive program to treat adult types of cancer. The Forsythe Immune Protocol Cancer Treatment Plan, in a current prospective study of over 6.5 years and 1,200 adult cancer patients, has produced a remarkable 30 times greater survival statistic when compared to conventional full-dose chemotherapy. Greater than 95% of all their patients choose low-dose insulin-potentiated life chemotherapy, using only 10 to 15% chemotherapy dosing with insulin. Dr. Forsythe has long been considered one of the most respected physicians in the United States, particularly for his treatment of cancer and the legal use of human growth hormone. Located in Reno, Nevada, Dr. Forsythe has seen patients from all over the world. To schedule your consultation today, call 775-827-0707. That number again is 775-827-0707.
Talking to Victor from Precision Diamonds. Victor, I remember you in the old days, Park Lane Mall, a kiosk. It's a lot different now, isn't it?
Man, that was a long time ago. In 1988, we've been blessed that we've been guided, and finally we have bought an amazing building across the street from the convention center. We found a better way to serve you. You know, we call it home. We managed to create amazing energy. And when we say welcome to the family, boy, we really mean it.
It is a family affair.
Absolutely. And we couldn't have done it without our wonderful customers who believed in us for all of 27 years. So I'm here to really say thanks to all of our wonderful family members who we started as customers, who now we know each other's children's and grandchildren.
All those years ago, a little kiosk in Park Lane Mall. Park Lane Mall's not there anymore, but you are still here.
Yeah, we have solidified our future by buying this beautiful building on Virginia Street. So we're there to serve you.
Thank you, Victor. Precision Diamonds, your local jeweler across from the convention center.
Unable to listen to the whole show? A recording of today's program will be available later today. Visit americamatters.us and click on the podcast link. Now back to the show.
All right, we're back now. America Matters with Eddie Floyd, and it might need a new show for me to mention everybody, but it's Ray Rocha, Shay Diane, Leo Zacky. We have Don Thompson, Rob Hollingsworth, Chuck Kubic. We're all on the phone with Leo Zacky right now, but I'm going to come to you, Professor, because when you were talking about the Bay of Pigs, etc. The one thing I remember, of course, I was like you, young boy at the time, but what I remember is everybody in the United States of America was investing in a bomb shelter. That's how scared that we were that this was going to escalate into another big war. And the only reason that nobody in my hometown bought a bomb shelter, and I mean nobody, because we were so close to the Mayport Naval Base that all that would have been left is a giant hole in the ground. So that being said, Professor, you remember those days even a lot better than I do, correct?
I do, but during the October missile crisis, I was in prison in Cuba.
Oh, I know.
At the time. But yes, in the October missile crisis, we came very close to nuclear war. And Fidel Castro, who was a young man at the time, he told Nikita Khrushchev to unleash a surprise nuclear attack upon the United States. But Nikita Khrushchev knew that at the time, America was very strong, and we had much more missiles than they did in the Soviet Union at the time. Things have changed for the worse now with China. They're so strong, and we're so weak now. And we even Cuba today is a major danger because Russia and China are in Cuba. Iran is in Cuba. They have provided in Cuba, again, nuclear submarines, which are a direct threat to the national security of the United States. They even have cyber stations that they move them around, mobile cyber stations. They spy on our satellites to bring them down if we ever go to war against China and Russia and Iran. So Cuba today is a much worse threat to our security than it was back in October of 1962. Much more.
Professor, that is so well said, and nobody could have said it better than you. Someday you and I'll meet, we'll have coffee, and we'll share experiences. I'll compare United States prisons to Cuban prisons, and you and I'll have a great conversation. The bottom line is, though, he's 100% correct. If we don't do something, and when I say we, I mean everybody. So I'm going to start from left to go right, and I'm going to come to you, Chuck, and thank you for your service. I truly mean that, even though, I was in the United States Army. I lived near the Mayport Naval Base aircraft carrier station, like I said earlier. So I'm correct, aren't I, Chuck?
Well, absolutely. It was an honor to serve. And when we invaded Iraq, my division was attached to the Marine Expeditionary Force, but I had a regiment of Army Engineers attached to the division. So, I'm a multi-service kind of commander. So appreciate the Army's support.
Well, you know what? And before I go to Rob and then Don, I'm going to ask you this. It's my personal opinion, because I do this Monday through Friday every week of my life, and I talk to wonderful people like you, Chuck, and Rob, and Don, and Frank, and Leo. But the amazing thing is, to me, the biggest threat against the United States military right now today is the current administration. And that's my professional opinion. What say you, Chuck? And then we'll go right down the line.
Well, I would have to agree. We still have a strong force. We still have good equipment, although we've given most of our artillery rounds to the Ukraine. I don't know whether they've used them or sold them, but the military can be brought back. We have the senior leaders now. We're all junior and mid-grade officers during the Afghanistan, during Iraq war. They are strong and capable, but they're getting fed up. My own son recently retired as the Navy Sea commander, and he told me he spent half of his time protecting his troops from the insane things that were happening above him in the chain of command.
Yep.
So I think we do have to have a change of leadership. We have, and it's not that they're just weak; they are absolutely committed to the wrong things. They talk about even in the Navy the 3 C's, and the 3 C's are climate, culture, and China, with China being third.
What?
And that's pretty sad.
You couldn't have said it any better. And I'm looking out in the audience right now, and then I'm coming to you, Rob. I'm looking at Bill Conrad, who is retired military. He's a West Point graduate. He actually went over and helped the people who were left in Afghanistan, and they went under black ops. But right now, what I said, am I that far off base, or am I hitting it on the target, Rob?
It's 100%. I actually was in the Navy. I got out in 2016, and I found myself spending more time talking about, transgender issues or not getting too drunk than I did for actually training for warfighting or even conducting operations. But to take it back to the China thing, the left wants to talk about, we need to get all these resources for people with their drugs and their addictions, and they're starting to go down the fentanyl trade, but the border is completely open. Well, fentanyl is mainly coming in through the southern border via the cartels, but where are the cartels getting it? They're getting it from China.
Yep.
Right.
All fentanyl is being made in China, and so China is actively destroying the country from within the United States via the fentanyl pandemic.
Wow.
And the open border is what is contributing to that.
Rob, you said something that sparked all five of you that I'm looking at on the television right now. Every one of you looked like a bobblehead on the dashboard of a car because everybody was shaking their head that you are absolutely right. Right, Don?
Yes, sir. He's absolutely right. Your original question was, is our biggest threat the current administration? And you're right. A lot of people say they're inept. They're not inept.
No.
They know exactly what they're doing. They are executing their plan perfectly.
Right.
That's just not willful ignorance at the border. That's what they want. They want the border open. They want our military to be downgraded. They want supply chains to be interrupted. They want the invasion of this cultural war that's taking place. Because in anarchy, a government.
Wow. Don, I tell you what, you're so absolutely right. We just lost Don for a brief moment. He'll come back and join us. But Frank, anything that you want to add to that?
Sure. Well, China has been at war with the United States for a number of years. I mean, a country that kills 100,000 Americans every year is at war with America. They have been stealing our best military and industrial secrets for years through cyber attacks. They have infiltrated our government, both Republican Party and Democratic Party. They have people that are compromised, beginning, of course, with Biden, who's being bought by China, and his son, and so forth. But not only, we unfortunately have also Republicans that also have been bought by China as well. So they have brought the institutes, Chinese institute here, and since President Carter in 1979 allowed China to infiltrate 60 of our best universities, we have been giving our best technology to China for free. We haven't been giving it for free; they steal it. But that began with Carter, who signed in 1979 an agreement with then the dictator of China at the time, and that was renovated by Clinton and implemented even bigger with Obama. These presidents are three traitors to America. They should be, three of them, in prison for giving away our technology to our worst enemy.
Amen.
And that's been going on for many, many years. And China continues to infiltrate all of our institutions. And sending students here that becomes professors, they stay here, and all of them work for the Communist Party of China, and they steal all of our secrets. If we don't stop that, we're going to lose a war with China very, very soon.
Well, Professor Frank Di Varona, I've got to tell you that you and Chuck Kubic are the two most intelligent people on this entire panel, and I really mean that. No reflection on anybody else, but you've been there, you've done it, you did the walk, you did the talk, and right now I just got a big thumbs up from Don, so I'm going to go to Leo. Leo, you have to agree with me, brother. These guys were there. They know what they're talking about, just like you, son.
That's right. And, they have that firsthand experience, which is the best kind of information. Anybody who wants to push out some sort of media bogus from, we heard this, we said that. No, these guys are telling you because they lived it, they walked it, they experienced it. But back to the thing about the military just being absolutely decimated in this manner. I mean, this is intentional. They're not ignorant. And I mean, just to reiterate this, it's bigger than just, oh, they want to prepare us to be able to be invaded by a foreign country. This is so that they can put people in place that will willfully do what the government or the people behind the government want the military to do, whether it's carry out martial law or remove the guns or silence any sort of opposition, as they're currently labeling parents domestic terrorists here in this country. This is about control. And if they can get the people that would disobey orders that are considered FUBAR, this is how they can totally dominate us. And right now in Brazil, the military there is looks like it's gearing up to support the protesters to help secure Bolsonaro's position during the stolen election.
Boy, you just made my day. If that happens, I'll be so happy for the people of Brazil who, just like other countries, maybe even including ours, have been hoodwinked, have been taken down, the wrong path.
That's right.
And that's my opinion.
Yes.
And Don, yes, go ahead, Leo. Yes.
I also wanted to add that this is if this does come to fruition in the way that we are hopefully anticipating, this would be the military representing the people and not representing the corrupt government that is trying to take over. So Amen. This is what we need, a military that supports the people.
Yeah. Let me tell you what, if I could wave a magic wand today, the United States would be protected by the largest military. If you combined all militaries in every country around the world, we would be protected by the largest military we could assemble by people who have hunting licenses. That's my opinion. Ray, you want to make a comment before I go to Don?
Yeah, just in general, I agree with everything that's being said. Mm-hmm. Everything. This has been going on for years, but the key word you said earlier is you have to act.
Amen.
Not just point out the problems, but do it politically correct way to do it, but do something.
Amen. Well said, Ray. Don, I'm coming to you for another very important reason. We talked about, political races and how important the races are. And somebody asked me, 2, 3, 4 weeks ago, I don't even remember when, but I've never changed my mind. To me, the most important political race in any state is not the governor. It is not the governor. It is the school board, because that's where it all begins. It is, if we have politics, we need to put them back in the household. And guess what? I say put them back in the household along with somebody that we allowed the minority to kick out of schoolrooms, classrooms, and even homes. And that's God. That's my opinion. So you can persecute me all you want to. Don, you're up.
Well, you're right. We have to get back to the precinct level. We have to get back to where, they say politics is all local, and they're right. We have to get control at the local level of the school boards, the dog catchers, the local elections, and rebuild this from the bottom up. This is not going to be easy, and this perhaps won't even happen in 2 years. We have to really rebuild this country from the bottom up with people, America First candidates in positions throughout the government. And it's really not about Trump. This really is about people who care about the United States of America first, and they're not globalists, but they care about this country and they love this country. Those are the people we need to be electing. So right. Precinct project, poll watchers, all of those things, everyone should do something. And it's just so important that we start all over again at the ground level.
Yeah, Don, I could not agree with you more. I'm coming back to you right now, Chuck. And again, every time I come back to you, I'm going to quickly say thank you for your service in the United States Navy. I joined the Army because, remember, I come from a Navy town. And when you grow up in a Navy town, you want to go to another military. It's just that simple. I didn't want to be an anchor clanker, Chuck, but by the same token, I did serve. So that's one thing. Very small thing that you and I have in common. However, I was never in country, and I was in for a very brief period of time because I was a hovercraft operator. Now, coming to you, Chuck, there's an organization and a gentleman named Captain James McCormick. He lives in the South. I believe it's North Carolina or West Virginia. I can't remember right now, but he does a show every week with us, and he's the head of an organization called Vets for vet leadership. And what they're doing is they're raising money and they're getting involved in the campaigns of any and every military veteran, because I've always said, hey, if you ever want to be a commander in chief, by God, you should have done something for this country when it comes to the military. That's only my opinion, Chuck. What say you, sir?
Well, I agree. You know, as a spokesman for Veterans for America First, when I'm talking to veterans, I'm kind of laying it on them. I'm saying, you know, it's tough times, but you can't just hunker down and embrace the suck like so many of us have learned to do. You've got to be the voice in the community that stands up for America First values. And when you stand up, you can be almost 100% sure you'll have a battle buddy to your left and your right who'll stand up. And pretty soon the three of you will be 10 and then 100. But it's very important for veterans to be an active voice in their community to speak up, because we know they aren't bashful. We know that they have laid it on the line. Whether they served in country or not, we still honor their service because they were ready to go, they were trained, and they were committed. So I think that it is important for veterans across the country, many of whom are struggling, but many of whom are doing very well, to take the lead here over the next 2 years and say, you know, it's America first.
Amen. Amen.
I feel like I'm overgoverned and underprotected, and I'm trying to see Americans as they're basically trying to trade off between freedom and security. You know, in CB's on our memorial, we say we build, we fight for peace with freedom. And if you have peace without freedom, you're in a tyranny. If you have freedom without peace, you're in an anarchy. So
wow.
Striving for peace with freedom is tough. And veterans know what it's about, so they need to get out there and speak up.
Yeah, and you know what? Stop using my damn tax dollars, and I speak for probably well over 90% of Americans. Stop using our tax dollars to fund projects for illegal immigrants when the military needs it so bad, so we can do something even about the daily suicide rate. Coming to you, Rob.
Yeah, I've been touched personally on that level with the veterans taking their own lives and feeling like they have nowhere to go, and it's unfortunate, especially when I see other people that haven't done a damn thing to serve this country or their community getting free handouts because they have some ideology, or they've transitioned, or they fit some type of demographic that they get large amounts of money and places to live with nice views. In the city of Seattle, they have a multi-million-dollar project where they're giving condos that are worth millions of dollars to homeless people, and they're basically taking over these condos. Well, meanwhile, the veterans are using narcotics and trying to deal with PTSD, and they're living on the street and dying and taking their own lives.
You know, Rob, you said it so well. I was talking to the owner of this mall who has several malls in the Seattle area, and he and I refer to it as the Soviet Republic of Seattle right now today, because that's what it's turning into. He is being attacked right now in Bellevue. We all know Bellevue, Washington is one of the higher end cities in the entire state of Washington. Well, guess what? Seattle and their government is now attacking, and they are taking things like a La Quinta Inn right there in Bellevue, Washington, and turning it into a homeless shelter directly across from a gigantic mall, directly across from a school. Can you believe that? A homeless shelter across from a school? This makes no sense to me whatsoever. And Professor, this goes back to everything you said. We are, as a people, really stupid. We need to listen to Chuck's, to Rob's, and to you, Professor.
That's true. Unfortunately, the two teachers' unions are run by communists. The American Federation of Teachers and the National Education Association, all of them are thoroughly infiltrated by communists. They're pushing critical race theory, which is a communist curriculum. They're pushing the Black Lives Matter pre-K-12 curriculum and the 1619 New York projects. 3 communist curriculum are being implemented in government schools, except in the free state of Florida, because our governor forbade the teaching of critical race theory. But yeah, it's we're losing our youth. And I taught at a state university in Miami 7.5 years. I could tell you that most of the professors that were with me at the College of Education and Florida International Universities, they were liberals and some were communists. In fact, 2 of them were arrested by the FBI in the College of Education at FIU in Miami because they were working with Cuban intelligence. That's
Wow.
all.
Wow.
So all our universities, all of them are infiltrated by communists.
Amen.
So we are really having a horrible time, and we need to drastically change that. And talking about the military, they're teaching also critical race theory to our military, so the black and whites hate each other instead of being together to fight a war. Besides, they're not funding the military properly, and they're doing transgender operations, which is horrible to our military. What are they not doing to destroy our military? I went back when Obama was president. He was cutting the funding of our armed forces for several years, $30-some million a year he was cutting. So when Trump became president, he found our Navy that was the size it was in 1912, our military the size it was in 1939. That's how President Trump inherited our military.
Wow.
And he did his best for years to strengthen the military. And now we're back again to what Obama and Biden did back then, trying to destroy our military completely, weaken our military, so that I think they want us to lose in a war. So they're doing everything possible to weaken our military.
Well, thank you so much, Professor, because believe me, everybody's listening to you. Don't want to run out of time. Coming to you, Leo, and then Don. Go ahead, Leo.
I mean, they do intentionally want to weaken the military. And I'm not, if it's going to be a foreign invasion, I don't think it's going to be just like a country like China or Russia or something like that. It would be the globalist forces that are the United Nations. It would be a UN peacekeeping sort of thing. That's what I think they want to weaken us for. And also, obviously to make sure that they're compliant and will do whatever they're told, even if it goes against the Constitution and the rights of the people.
Well, Don, I saw you shaking your head. You seem to be agreeing with him.
Well, let me tell you, I spent a lot of time filming at the border with Ben Berquam, and I can tell you firsthand, I've interviewed people coming across the border, and they're not Mexicans. They're Russians. They're from Pakistan. They're from Brazil. They're Cubans. These are people coming across the border. We have no idea who these people are. We could be being invaded right now with a foreign force and just being embedded into this country. They're just being put on release. So they come in, they surrender, and then they're just free to go for their court date, which could be 2 or 3 years later. So I'm very concerned about the border because we just don't have a handle on what's happening at that border. I've seen them firsthand.
Gentlemen, there's only one thing, or no, I'm going to say this the right way. There's only 7 things that make me feel good about the future of this country, and I'm talking to all 7 of them today. There is still hope as long as there's people like who is on the America Matters today, because you know what? America does matter. And once again, I'll say it. Thank you for your service, Chuck. Is there anything that you would like to say in closing, sir?
Well, I think the situation that we face in the world with China is one that is not necessarily a physical invasion. It is an invasion coming on multiple fronts, and in some respects looking to isolate us. I happen to be in China as a brand new flag officer in the late 90s and met with the Deputy Secretary of Defense, who basically gave us the message then: the Pacific is a big ocean. We'll stay on our side. You should stay on your side. Well, they haven't stayed on their side. They are moving in financially. They are moving in with their own infrastructure program. I happened to be down in Peru, and I was at 12,000 feet in the Andes and happened upon a major airfield being built by the Chinese. And my question was, why do they need to airlift people into the Andes? Well, I learned that China gets 37% of its food, from South America.
Wow.
And that's what weakness is. They have 1.5 billion people who need to eat every day. What we need to do is focus on cutting them off from their sources, just like Trump cut them off from soybeans and pork and got their attention. The same thing with the South China Sea. It's all about the fish, not the oil or the land. And we need to make sure that we don't allow them to control that. And they're going to be struggling too, because they've had a lot of peace by suppressing freedom in their country, but it isn't working these last week or so. So we need to devote some attention to South America and make sure they're on our side when a big fight does start to brew.
You better believe it. Chuck, thank you so much for those words. And I'm going to go to Rob Hollingsworth right now because, Rob, what Chuck said is so true. They're coming in, but like last year, 80% of the farms were purchased from the Chinese. I mean, for the Chinese. They purchased 80% of our farmlands that were sold last year. So I'm hoping everybody on this panel likes rice, okay, because that might be what we're eating in the future. Rob?
Yeah, that didn't even make the news, really. The farmland being purchased up by the Chinese, or even the Bill Gates Foundation. I actually just graduated with my master's degree from a Arizona public school, and I wrote my master's thesis on Title 42 and the border, and you wouldn't believe the amount of feedback I got negatively from that. But the agenda, the point is the agenda is fumed down every youth's throat from every aspect: social media, Hollywood, schools. That's how they're able to do this. And it's been over since I'm 34 years old, and it's been going on since I was in grade school. So it's been going on for at least 20 years.
Right. Do the same thing, Professor. You've got about 45 seconds. I'm going to make sure everybody has closing statements. And once again, I thank everybody for being on, especially you, Chuck, Rob, and Professor. Take it away.
Well, Eddie, the most important thing is to protect the Second Amendment, because the first thing they did in Cuba was take our weapons. In Venezuela, the Nazis, that any totalitarian government wants to disarm the people, so we can never turn in our guns. And they are at least, 500 million guns in the United States. They are also patriotic militias that do not want to live under communism, and they're ready to go to war if this country declares the communist nation. We have to keep our guns.
Thank you so much, Professor. Leo, same to you. And Don, real quick, son, last comments.
Pay attention to what's going on. Get active. Buy guns. Support your candidates. If you're thinking about running, do it. Start early, and don't be asleep at the wheel, and share the information with everybody. We're in the middle of an info war.
Amen. Don, you've got the final closing statements today, and I do want to thank all 7 of you for being on America Matters today for Radio for America. Take it away, Don.
Well, it's all about educating the American people. We all need to be teachers. We created this film so that people in America could understand what's happening, so they could get their heads out of the sand. So please share this movie with your friends. It's, once again, the website is howtocookafrog.us. Please share it, because if you don't do it, there's nobody going to come save us.
You better believe it. Don Thompson, Chuck Kubic, and also Rob Hollingsworth and Professor Frank Varona. I want to thank you all for being on with me and Leo, Ray, and Shay today. This has been America Matters. I'm going to have you guys back on, and I'll be contacting you a little bit later on. Ken, I want to thank you for being with us the entire time. We love you, brother.
Thank you very much. Likewise, brother.
All right.
Hey, Danny.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day, or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger. No finger pricks. Convenience. They delivered it free, and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM, plus we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-432-8150. 800-432-8150. 800-432-8150. That's 800-432-8150.
Wake up and text. Text and eat. Text and catch the bus. Text and miss your stop. Wait. Text and be late to work. Sorry, I'm late. Text and work. Text and pretend to work. Text and act surprised when someone calls you out for not working. Me? Text and meet up with a friend you haven't seen in forever.
Hi.
Oh, hey. Text and complain that they're on their phone the whole time. Text and listen to them complain that you're on your phone the whole time. Text and whatever. But when you get behind the wheel, give your phone to a passenger. Put it in the glove box. Just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
This is America Matters Media at 93.7 FM, KPGF Sun Valley, your community radio station.
USA Radio News with Tim Berg.
The White House is backing the right of people to peacefully protest in China. Protesters in multiple cities have demonstrated against China's zero-COVID policy in recent days. Scott Kennedy is a senior advisor with the Center for Strategic and International Studies. He tells CNN China's COVID policies are not helping.
There is no way to end zero COVID quickly without inducing a lot of illnesses. And so the government is really in a bind of its own making. And so it's not clear exactly how this is going to end quickly.
As the crisis on our U.S.-Mexico border continues, some U.S. air marshals are being reassigned to help with the southern border by the Department of Homeland Security. Texas Republican Congressman Tony Gonzalez says illegal immigrants who don't qualify for asylum should not be in the United States.
House Republicans are the only thing standing in the way of this administration continuing down these failed policies. We got to continue to put pressure on them to have just real tangible solutions.
That audio courtesy of Fox News. Illegal immigrants who are applying for asylum are awaiting their hearings in the United States rather than in Mexico. After a health scare a few weeks ago, a comedian is back making people laugh.
Jay Leno is back on the stand-up comedy stage after suffering second and third-degree burns in a garage fire. Leno performed in front of a packed house Sunday night at the Comedy and Magic Club in Hermosa Beach, California. His return comes about 2 weeks after he was badly burned while working on one of his vintage cars. In the USA Radio News Midwest Bureau, I'm Katie Lewis.
Things are once again hopping in Washington, D.C. as Congress is back in session. This is USA Radio News.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-444-9336. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-444-9336. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-444-9336. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-444-9336. 800-444-9336.
Cyber Monday shopping deals may be harder to find this year as retailers stretch out the holiday season. Experts say if you see that hot toy, snap it up because there are still supply chain issues. Last year, Adobe Analytics said consumers spent more than $10 billion on Cyber Monday. Ryan Patel is a senior fellow with the Drucker School of Management. He tells CNN that as shoppers' habits change, stores are changing as well.
The better retailers moving forward are going to be more nimble. How to get online purchasing is only increasing. How you interact with the consumers, what kind of sales and discounts that you're going to provide. Is sales promotional even something that you want to continue to do at a higher discount rate? You know, that was interesting this season as well about how people were discounting.
Early in-person voting is now underway across Georgia. Democrat incumbent Raphael Warnock and his Republican challenger Herschel Walker are squaring off in the Senate race, which will be decided December 6th. The U.S. Postal Service has announced its shipping deadlines for packages to arrive by Christmas Eve. The deadline for regular ground service is December 17th. Priority mail must be sent by December 19th, and the Priority Mail Express deadline is December 23rd. The Postal Service is urging people to get their packages and cards mailed as soon as possible. These dates exclude Hawaii and Alaska. For USA Radio News, I'm Tim Berg.
O'Reilly Auto Parts is here to keep your car on the road with our free loaner tool program. Your local store has more than 80 specialty tools available to rent for your next repair. Refundable deposit required. Ask our professional parts people about the loaner tool program today at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store or visit O'Reilly Auto Parts.
The following is an America Matters media production. The views expressed do not necessarily represent those of the station or its advertisers, although we think they should. But that's the opinion of America Matters Media.
Oh, such a pain! It's just another word come together right now over me.
All right, you certainly know what that theme song means by now. That's right. It's another episode of America Matters with Eddie Floyd. And today we have Eden Wakefield in charge of marketing as vice president here at America Matters, and Shay Diane, our correspondent from Jerusalem, Israel. But before we get going, I'm going to go to another show host right now who's on the line with us because it's a very important thing that he does every other show here for America Matters, and that's Ken Roberts, who has a show every single solitary Friday, 10 a.m. It's called Ken's Bulls and Bears. It's any and everything you want to know about the stock market, which is exactly what he's telling us today in this second hour of America Matters. So take it away, Ken.
Well, the stock market closed down today. Bad news from China on the COVID, the protest. The Dow was down 497 points at 33,849. The NASDAQ down 176 at 11,049. And the S&P 500 down 62 points at 3,963. So all the major averages were down about 1.5%. And a little bit of bad news today.
That sounds like a little bit of bad news, but you and I have been doing this for well over a decade, and you and I both know one thing: it's going to come back. Whether it comes back in the way of people being happy with the stock market, or whether it comes back in the way of what they used to refer to as quantitative easing, something's going to happen to where people need to get involved in the stock market. Could I say it any better than that, Ken?
Sounds good to me.
Hey, you bet it does. I want you to tell people how to get a hold of you before we say goodbye to Ken Roberts, the host of Ken's Bulls and Bears every Friday, 10 a.m., right here in the Reno Town Mall.
You can call me anytime at 800-888-5164, extension 224.
Wow. Hey, Ken, thanks a lot for being a part of us here at America Matters, my friend.
Thank you.
All right. That was Ken Roberts. He called in, but here's the good news. So can you out there. You can stop in and get on a microphone at the Reno Town Mall right now within the next hour. I invite you to come get on a microphone, or you can call us 844-790-8255. Who's us? It's Leo Zacky, my partner and sidekick on America Matters, with Leo Zacky and yours truly. And also joining us today, we have Shay Diane. He's our correspondent in none other than Jerusalem. You heard me right, Jerusalem, Israel. And we have the vice president of marketing on Eden Wakefield, just to counterbalance all the ugly guys on the show. So I'm going to come to you right now, Leo. Any comments or things that, hey, that was a hell of a first hour show we had. Okay, Leo.
Yeah, sorry, I had the button again.
You know what? I'm gonna drive over to California, and I'm gonna tape your mute button up. Okay, not down, but up. Go ahead, Leo. And by the way, I just remembered why I love the fact that this second hour we don't have to worry about the theme song so much, because one thing I always get going is when you hear our theme song, I love you playing the air guitar. So take it away, Leo.
I appreciate that. No, we had a tremendous show. I mean, we had a retired Rear Admiral on. We had Rob Hollingsworth. We had Professor Frank de Varona on. And, of course, we had the great creator of How to Cook a Frog, Don
Thompson. Yep.
Thompson. And, it's just a lot of great people on. And I love having the ability to get on with good people who understand what's going on in the world. And the thing that we were stressing is that people have to get involved, and you have to be active in what's going on and be aware, because if we don't, we're right now we're basically asleep at the wheel. Some of us are starting to wake up, but we can just get taken over by this communist globalist agenda that wants to depopulate the planet and is tied to global child sex trafficking and all sorts of horrific stuff, like the blatant display of what Balenciaga just put out there.
Right. Unbelievable. But I'm so glad you told me that about, and I'm just got my hopes up, and I'm really praying that you are really right. It looks as if the military in Brazil are going to side with the people who are protesting against the corrupt government. Did I hear you right that first hour?
It looks like that they could potentially enact in Brazil what they call Article 142, which would, in times of when a part of the government is disrupting the just the way things operate or social, I forget exactly how it was stated. But anyways, the government would be doing something that would disrupt society, that the military would then be obligated to step in. And it looks like that if they do, they would be in support of Bolsonaro.
Wow. You know what? I got to share with you. It's about time some country had some military have the common sense to say, wait a minute, maybe I'm on the wrong side. Maybe I'm on the wrong side. Look at all these people out here protesting in conjunction with how many people are running the government. Look at the people on the street and decide what team you want to be on. And believe me, I think you want to be on the team of the civilians. That's my opinion. Of course, you guys don't suffer from that in Israel, do you, Shay?
We suffer from what?
You don't suffer from people attacking. Has Israel ever been attacked by another country?
Oh, many times.
I'm joking. You guys live that life every day of your life.
Not anymore. These days it's probably going to be the other way around.
Is it?
Probably. It's going to come to that. It's inevitable.
Well, so when the other way around, does that mean that Israel's going to start attacking all the countries around them?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
I don't have a problem with that.
I don't think anyone does.
No, I don't think anyone does, because when you say anyone does, they do.
We don't count them. We don't have as the zeros, maybe.
You've never counted them. Eden, I have several people who have asked me, do you mind, and please don't if you do mind, but if you don't mind, can people have your number? You're in charge of all promotion here in advertising. So can people, Eden, have your phone number personally?
Absolutely.
Okay,
yes.
Give it out to the people.
I prefer that. It's 775-223-7944.
Wow. One more time.
775-223-7944.
Thank you so much. Look out in the audience there, Shay. Look how many of those single guys are writing that number down. Okay, this is America Matters with Eddie Floyd, Shay Diane, Leo Zacky, and Eden Wakefield, and we will be right back. Hi, this is Eddie Floyd. Let me tell you about my favorite non-profit public charity, Wainema Wild Horse Sanctuary, located on the Forsythe Ranch in Hallelujah Junction area. And please go to www.wainemaranch.com. That's WYNEMA ranch.com.
What's ain't salad now, baby?
Have you, a friend, or family member been diagnosed with cancer? Dr. Forsythe at the Forsythe Cancer Care Center offers an all-inclusive program to treat adult types of cancer. The Forsythe Immune Protocol Cancer Treatment Plan, in a current prospective study of over 6.5 years and 1,200 adult cancer patients, has produced a remarkable 30 times greater survival statistic when compared to conventional full-dose chemotherapy. Greater than 95% of all their patients choose low-dose insulin-potentiated life chemotherapy therapy using only 10 to 15% chemotherapy dosing with insulin. Dr. Forsythe has long been considered one of the most respected physicians in the United States, particularly for his treatment of cancer and the legal use of human growth hormone. Located in Reno, Nevada, Dr. Forsythe has seen patients from all over the world. To schedule your consultation today, call 775-827-0707. That number again is 775-827-0707.
Barbecue, the Butcher's Kitchen, would like to thank every customer for your loyalty and continued support through these challenging times. Call for takeout and delivery of rib tips, brisket, ahi, tuna, roasted veggies, and much more. Barbecue's open from 11 to 7, Monday through Saturday, and delivers hot food safe and healthy. Call 499-5855 for details. 499-5855 Barbecue, as featured on diners, drive-ins, and dives. Get real. Get into Barbecue Reno.
Are you shy and don't want to talk on the air? Text us your questions or comments to 775-237-2266. Now back to the show.
You better believe we are back now to America Matters with Eddie Floyd, and it was Eden Wakefield, but she had to run an errand for America Matters Media, and she'll be back before the end of the show. But we also have Leo Zacky along with Shay Diane. So I'm going to come to you, Leo, right now. Any and every comment that you want to make, I don't care if it's about Brazil, if it's about the show we just finished, or if it's about any and every upcoming show, you let me know, brother.
Okay. Well, I mean, Brazil is definitely the biggest story not being talked about right now in the mainstream media. They're the sixth largest country in the world. They're a huge democracy, and they've been just coming off of a string of craziness leading up to Bolsonaro becoming president. There was Lula, who was impeached and imprisoned for his corruption, and then the subsequent one or two replacements afterwards were also found guilty and imprisoned. So the fact that he somehow won this election, and of course won it only by winning one state that was very suspect, and then you have all these protests that are going very strong throughout the entirety of the country, and it's not being talked about. It's this media blackout and this censorship and all the other distractions going on that the handful of companies that do own 90% of the world's media will not let you see. So I think it's very important that it's something that gets talked about and is not overlooked, because what happens in Brazil is essentially going to be the predecessor to what happens to the rest of the world. If the military is able to step in and help give these people the fair election and the justice that they deserve, or if tyranny will take over, and you'll see horrible things taking place like that are going on in China, and even the erosion of freedoms and liberties that are taking place right now in Canada.
Wow. So well said. So well said. Shay, I'm coming to you right now. I want to hear from you some of the concerns I see. And plus, let me read this if you don't mind, okay? Sure. And I'm getting messages right now from Don Thompson. And the nice thing is, during the show, they received 2,000 views of How to Cook a Frog.us. I want everybody to go to howtocookaFrog.us, and you'll see exactly what the first hour was all about. And it's so wonderful to know that about 2,000 people watched it and started watching it during our show last hour. So, Don, thank you for that information. Shay?
Yes, sir.
It's got to be something right now. Would you say that, like Hal Taylor just texted me? Hal Taylor is a retired district judge in the Northern District in Florida. Okay, he was a roommate at University of Florida. Hal just said, Eddie, I love your show, but I also have to disagree with you when it comes to what's the biggest problem in America today. Well, Hal, you say it is apathy, and I don't think you're disagreeing with me. I think it's apathy. That's why I tell people and yell at people to do something. I don't care what it is, damn it. Do something.
Sorry. Is apathy lack of sympathy?
Yeah, apathy is lack of caring.
Okay. I agree. There is a lack of apathy or lack of sympathy.
You're just afraid of a judge. That's all.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding you. Because isn't your last name Diane? Doesn't that mean judge?
Yeah, it means rabbinical judge. My ancestors have been rabbinical judges, and I'm a direct descendant of King David.
Okay, good. Appreciate that,
Thank
brother.
you.
Thanks for joining my show.
Thank you.
Tell the king I said hi.
Okay.
Tonight when you pray. Okay. Now, that being said, I'm coming to you, Leo.
Well, I mean, what else can we talk about? I mean, everybody's upset with everything. The world's on fire, it feels like.
It is. And you know what? I'm glad you said that. There's a line I used to use a long time ago that I think because you just said that, I'm going to have to start using it again. Every time you say the world is on fire, I'm going to repeat myself after Leo says the world's on fire by saying, yes, and we sold the matches.
Yeah.
That's what scares me. Am I right?
You are. And, you know, we by not paying attention, we have enabled these globalists to get their grubby hands into all the positions that they have. We got complacent. It's been going on for a long time, but I think it kind of got accelerated with the collapse of the Soviet Union and the quote unquote end of the Cold War. People just became very complacent, like, oh, the Cold War's over. We don't have anything else to fear. But all the while, you know, our institutions have just been taken over. And that's why, you know, it's like $500 trillion of which is like the vast majority of the entire world's wealth is controlled by these globalist bankers. And there's a handful of people, and that's why they talk about the 13 families.
Right.
And we were going to bring this up a couple shows ago, but I never got to. And
well, you know what? You're going to bring it up today because your buddy and my buddy, who's been listening to us well over a decade, Sarah, in your state of Sacramento, California.
Love her.
Yeah, she just wrote in and said, do you mind, Leo, describing exactly what you're talking about when it comes to the World Globalist and the WEF? I think she's saying the World Economic Forum, correct?
Yeah, yes. That's what that's the acronym for World Economic Forum. Okay, so it's the concept of the man behind the curtain. So you've all seen the movie The Wizard of Oz, and they go to see Oz and the great and powerful Oz, and lo and behold, Toto pulls back the curtain, and there's a man pulling the levers and turning the cranks to make this more powerful than what really is being appear. And it's true, and it's just controlled by one man who's has the power to impose this false promise of power over people. And over the centuries, we've seen European bloodlines from banking, from monarchies and other banking institutions come together. And a lot of the last names that you see out there have either been changed to some degree or have ties back to these old monarchies and bankers.
Wow.
And
who leads it? Klaus Schwab?
Well, he's part of it. He's definitely a big player. He is not the guy. He's definitely high up. There's no doubt about that. Just like George Soros is high up and he makes things happen, but he's definitely not the guy. Now, there are what they call the 13 families, and those last names include Astor, Bundy, Collins, DuPont, Freeman, Kennedy, Lee, Onassis, Reynolds, Rockefeller, Rothschild, Russell, and Van Dunn. Those are the 13 families that are, quote unquote, the known Illuminati names. And I'm sure you've recognized some of those, whether it be big companies like DuPont or last names as prominent as Kennedy, or even Onassis for that matter. But they're essentially the people that control the money. They've developed banking systems where they were able to give out lending power that was greater than the actual capital that they had, which created debt. That just the same way as our central bank here in America, which is a central bank, it's the Federal Reserve. It's not part of the government. So whenever they print $1 US, it's given to us with 10% debt attached to it. So when you don't have anything and you borrow for something greater than the value of what it's worth, you theoretically could never escape the debt. And that's how they begin the control. And it's economic control. So they use the money, they use the debt, and they buy up all sorts of companies, like the media that is controlled. Like I said, there's about 90% of the media is controlled by, I think, 6 companies, and I'm going on and on.
Wow. You know what? No, you're not going on and on the whole time. You won't believe the number. By the way, Sarah absolutely loved what you had to say and said, get to Sacramento soon. I'd love to treat you to dinner. So Sarah, you might have a date on your hands. You don't know. I love that though. I love the interaction with everything that's going on. I want the people to call in 844-790-8255. I'm going to go to, you're going to love this one. Ready? Mm-hmm. It's Herschel, and I'm not going to say his last name, but he's from Georgia.
No way.
And it's not Walker. That's why I said.
Someone text you?
Yeah, somebody from Atlanta, Georgia just texted me and said, ready? Are you trying to tell me, Eddie and Leo, that the entire economic system here in America is run by 13 families at their own whim? Well, Herschel, let me tell you, no, I'm not trying to tell you that. I am trying to tell you that, because if I'm trying to try leaves an element of doubt. I am telling you. It's just that simple. And it started, and we let it get out of hand, and we've been letting them do it since the beginning of time almost, right, Leo?
That's right. And I mean, the big date for us in America is in 1913, when a lot of these bankers, including J.P. Morgan, they met down in an island, I think it was off of North Carolina.
Jekyll Island.
Yeah. That's what I wanted to say. It was the meeting there in 1913, and that's essentially where they came together and they created the foundation and the groundwork for the central bank, the Federal Reserve, to take place. And then Woodrow Wilson signed that into law, and Woodrow Wilson comes from a banking background.
Sure.
And we've had a lot of presidents, believe it or not, with banking backgrounds. And then the other most notable one would be FDR, when he did the gold seizure. Now, gold is a precious metal, and that is what all of our finances were based on.
Leo, let me jump in real quick and ask you a question, and then I'll ask Shay for his take in Israel. But, when you say the banking families and they won't control and stuff like that, and so they're always trying to seek control, I think to the south of us, the country of Mexico, mm-hmm. that government is totally controlled by the banking system. Okay. And it's my what's not controlled by the banking system is controlled by the cartels.
Correct.
So which one would you rather have, right, Leo?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's just two evils. I mean, they'll both kill anybody to get their way. And it's terrible for folks down there. But the only reason the cartel has power is because they have enormous wealth, and they have ruthless people that have weapons that will carry out their orders, and that's the only thing that gives them a fighting chance and the ability to stay sovereign from the cartel, from the international bankers. However, they do business with them to a degree.
Mm-hmm. And you say they have all this enormous amount of money, they have all of this power down in Mexico, but doesn't that ring a bell to you when it comes to Capitol Hill? Doesn't it seem like that the biggest concern they have, and by the way, I'm not picking on the left side or the right side now. I'm actually picking on every single politician in Washington, D.C., because those 90-some% of them only care about themselves and the power that they yield. Am I wrong?
No, you're spot on.
Wrong. Yeah.
I mean, look at them. Look at Pelosi. Look at all the wealth that her family has.
Oh, no, stop right there. That's one thing I refuse to ever do, Leo. As we go to the bottom of the hour break, never say that again, because I refuse to look at Nancy Pelosi. This is America Matters with Eddie Floyd, Leo Zacky, and Shay Diane, and we will be right back.
Businesses, writers, check this out. Go to lrpnv.com to get your printing, publishing, and professional services today. Need a virtual office? A place to receive and forward your mail with professional address and suite number for your business? Someone to answer your telephones? Want to rent a conference room for only $15 an hour? What about that book you've been wanting to have printed? LRP Printing and Business Center can do it for you, and they have a professional assistant on site daily, Monday through Friday. Just call 775-356-1004. Need copies, business cards, invoices, books, booklets, or graphic design to help brand you or your business? Just call 775-356-1004 or go to lrpnv.com. With a great selection of new and used books, you can get your printing done and a book to entertain you in your time off. And don't forget, you could have your business sponsoring the Bookhound Radio Show, just like Andrew Martoni, author of Little Men on the Map, does every week. Just go to lrpnv.com. That's lrpnv.com or call 775-356-1004. They'll provide solutions for your business and writing projects.
Sliced fresh sandwiches every day, made right before your eyes. The port of Subway could be a smoking number 5 or a classic number 8, or maybe an Italian is your number 1 fave. Whatever you crave, prepare to fall in love. Sliced fresh sandwiches, port of Subs.
Port of Sub's Meatball Marinara Bundle is good. Tender, juicy meatballs on savory, fresh-baked rosemary Swiss bread covered with zesty marinara and provolone cheese, then grilled to perfection. Your Meatball Marinara Bundle comes with cheddar sun chips, an ice-cold Dr. Pepper, and a baked fresh daily classic chocolate chip cookie. Fall in love with the Meatball Marinara Bundle. It's a meal that even your nonna will love. Visit your neighborhood Port of Subs today or order online at portofsubs.com or on our app. Port of Subs, slicing fresh for 50 years.
Whatever yummy number you're dreaming of, sliced fresh sandwiches, port of Subs.
To join the conversation, call 844-790-TALK. That's 844-790-8255. Now back to the show.
You better believe we're back now. America Matters with Eddie Floyd and Leo Zacky. And today we also have our correspondent from Jerusalem, Israel. That's Shay Diane on the set with us. But, you know, Leo, I loved what Sarah had to say and how you answered that question. The biggest concern I think we're faced with right now today was so well said by Judge Hal Taylor from the 2nd District in Northern Florida when he said, Eddie, our biggest concern right now that is affecting America is apathy. And I think he hit the nail on the head, Leo.
He absolutely did. And, you know, people, they want to be left alone. I mean, that's really at the end of the day, that's all we want is we want to be able to live in peace, freely, live the way we want. And so long as we're not hurting others, that's all anybody truly wants. However, there is a group of people, and they are conspiring, that's where the word conspiracy comes from, to do nefarious things. They want power. They want control. They want to push their sick, evil fantasies and sexual fetishes on us. And that's what's taking place when you see this drag queen story hour stuff and you see these commercials like Balenciaga has put out. You know, this is them rubbing our noses in it because they have this much power and they're just sick, evil people. And that's the reality of it, that we live in a world where good and evil exist. The vast majority of the average person is a good person. I'm sure everybody out there listening is a good person. It's the evil folks that control the system, that have gone mad with power. These maniacs like Fauci and Klaus Schwab, George Soros, Ted Turner, even King Charles. These are the sick people that are in a mad quest for power.
Right.
And they get their kicks from taking advantage of people. And that's why they have sickos like Jeffrey Epstein, who go out into the world and kidnap children and allow them to do horrific things with them in their private islands and stuff like that.
Right. And you know what? Let me tell you, I don't know about you, Leo, but if I could wave a magic wand today, okay, we don't need an election coming up. We don't need to find out who's guilty of this or that. If they can release the manifesto of who absolutely went to Epstein's island, the pedophile island, okay, I think probably more than half of Washington, D.C. would just vanish overnight. That's my opinion.
Yeah, but I mean, we even saw this taking place with Pizzagate. It's Epstein's a drop in the bucket. I mean, I'm sure he's a huge portion. I mean, what they do is it's blackmail. That's how they control these people. It's through blackmail. They find people who are willing to sell out for a little bit of money, and that little bit of money is very dependent on who you are. What's a lot of money is the question I like to ask. What is that to some people? I mean, when you're talking about the international banking cartel, these globalists that have power, they control over $500 trillion worth of wealth. And for some people, 10,000 is a lot of money, or a million's a lot of money. So people sell out for that, whether it's to help get them their little bit of power to get into politics. And then once they're in politics, they owe favors, and then maybe they like, maybe they get hooked up with some girl, and then they get told that, oh, by the way, that girl you slept with, oh, she's 16 years old. We won't tell anybody, but you need to take care of this for us. And then they're like, oh, hey, this kid's a problem. We need you to kill this person. And then they get it on film, and now they control this person entirely. And this is how it all develops. And then you have Yeah, I know. You have sickos like Hunter Biden that, they have drug habits and all sorts of weird, fetishes that they like to, take part in, and they don't care. They'll do anything. They'll sell out the country. They'll sell out their family. And now here we are, giving our oil away to China, our reserves that we absolutely need to have. It's insane.
Right. And by the way, did you see where our president said, hey, I need your permission. He's talking to Congress, right? I need your permission to rebuild our reserves at $74 a barrel. Okay. And he's asking them to vote on that so he can rebuild our reserves. Well, guess what? Those same left side of the aisle, when Trump tried to do the exact same thing for $24 a barrel, every one of them down party lines voted against it. This is what I hate. This is exactly what I hate. Why does it have to be a two-party system when both parties right now aren't in sync with one thing, and that's to make America great again? Sorry to use your phrase, Donald, but the bottom line is, why not? Hey, by the way, Shay, how do the Israel people look at Donald Trump as far as being
we love Donald Trump?
Do you?
I said, we absolutely love him. We pray for him to come back every day. We voted right this time. Everybody voted left. And when you say Bolsonaro, the guy Jair Bolsonaro, Jair Messias Bolsonaro is the correct way to pronounce his name.
Right.
And he lost by the same way we lost for Trump. They stole it. I have no doubt that they stole the election.
So in other words, it like it's been said so many times by so many wonderful scholars over the years and years and years, it doesn't matter. If you've got a corrupt system, it doesn't matter how you vote. It matters who counts the votes.
That's right. Yeah. In Israel, they can't cheat us. When you set up a game, let's say a game of Monopoly, and you control the bank, there's got to be ground rules. If there's no ground rules, the bank can be the cheater. And the game is not a game.
Wow. You know what? You just reminded me of something. You said Monopoly. Is that one of the most accepted games in Jewish people over there?
As long as you have to get out of jail free card.
I can do that to you. I can make fun and love you. And you know what? What's wrong with that? Okay. You know how much I love the Jewish people. You know that. We've gone to lunch with so many wonderful friends of yours, mine, and everything. My first co-host was a man of Jewish faith, Mel Gordon. Okay.
That's right. May he rest in peace.
Yeah, may he rest in peace. And also, and I've had lunch with John Forsythe, owner of the Atlantis over there. It's the fact that why can't we do the same thing when it comes to I'm not an old white guy who's a racist. I'm an old white guy, you got that right, but I'm not a racist in any way, shape, or form. My best friend growing up was black, but I did not notice that, okay? I did not notice
the racism only comes down to what people follow with their eyes. So most people, they do what they see. They say what seeing is believing, and they call it a day. But the truth is that that's not true. And I know that the public doesn't know the difference. What is more important, the body or the head?
Right.
So I have my own right to think if your body and head, whatever is more important, my opinion matters more than the public's opinion, simply because the public doesn't know what's more important, the body or the head.
To you. Right. I get it. I do get it. And like I said, it really holds true. And Leo, I think you remember, were you on the air with me when Kevin Jackson called in and did the show with us?
He's called in a few times.
Okay, well, then you probably were, because he and I have been doing this for close to 20 years now, okay, where when he calls in and we start talking about how the government is trying to pit him against me. And I don't mean Kevin Jackson against Eddie Floyd. I mean black against white or white against black. That's what the government's trying to do. Right. And yet Kevin and I can make fun of them. we can make fun of them because when he says something extremely intelligent, I say to him, you know, Kevin, if this was a little over 200 years ago, I would buy you, brother. And he responds back by saying, hey, honky, you can't afford me. Now, guess what? We both laugh, and then we finish the show, and then we go have dinner together.
Yeah.
Is that being a racist? No, Leo?
Man, not at all. Like you're just having a good time. You're making jokes, like, and you can laugh at it. You have to be able to laugh at yourself. You have to be able to laugh at your situation. You have to be able to laugh at history. I laugh. That's why they say laughter is the best medicine.
Right.
But going back to the whole two-party system, it's all a distraction. This is all done intentionally. And Shay, I would argue that I think the body is more important than the head because the body can always apparently, like the Hydra, for example, you cut off the head of the Hydra and two more replace it. The only way to take out the Hydra is to stab it in the body and take out its heart, and so it can't do anything anymore.
Well, I didn't say that you don't know what's more important. I said the public doesn't know. I appreciate that. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, he's right.
Yeah,
that's what I would argue because there's a lot of heads to this monster. And, just because you cut off one doesn't mean you've won the battle, you've won the day. I mean, that's why there's 13 families I was talking about. They're all trying to vie for the one top spot. But it's, like I said, it's a distraction, and they want to divide us every which way they can because the smaller and smaller they can break us down into different groups. Like that's why they got a bazillion million genders that they want to make up now, and everybody has to be this person is a non-binary Islamic black whatever plus you add all these different adjectives to a person and the less in common they have with everybody else. That's why it's united we stand, divided we fall, and like instead a house divided cannot stand.
You know who taught me when it comes to racism? You know who taught me by one little scenario that he gave me on the front porch at the Wainema Ranch, and I know you know him as well, Deepak Chopra, okay? A famous author, famous motivational speaker, etc., and used to be Wayne Dyer's sidekick for a long, long time. I used to do their ranch work together, but he said something to me one time that really put things in perspective. He said, Eddie, I think you might be, being born and raised in Florida, maybe you are racist. I said, I don't think so. I said, I truly don't think so. He said, well, then let me give you a little story, and then you answer it honestly, and I'll tell you if you're racist or not. I said, okay. He said, you and Shari go to a party, and it doesn't take you very long to realize out of about 100 people, you and her are the only two white people in that party. How would you feel? And I looked at him with a big smile on my face and said, I wouldn't care. And he said, see, you're still a little bit racist because the real answer is you wouldn't notice.
Depends what music they're
Think
playing.
about that for a minute, okay? You wouldn't notice if you really weren't racist, but how can we not do that? Look at the newspaper today. Does it matter if somebody got murdered, whether the murderer was a white man or a black man? Why do they have
it
to
only
throw that
matters in times of elections.
Yeah. It only matters when somebody's trying to prove their personal agenda, And it's just like you heard me say in that first hour, I would love some foreign country to come and try to overthrow America because I'm not going to count on our military. You know who I'm going to count on, Leo? I'm going to count on the hunters who have a hunting license. Because if they have a hunting license, what do they have?
They have
a gun, okay? And that's what's needed right now. You heard the professor, you heard the rear admiral say the same thing. Do not, under any circumstances, give up your guns,
Ever.
no matter what the government tells you. Would you say never, Leo?
I'll give up the bullets.
Give up the bullets.
Without the cartridge.
Yeah. All right. This is America Matters. We're taking our last break here. If you missed the first three segments, you missed a lot. But I want you to call 844-790-8255. If you're in the audience and you have a question, come on in. Get behind the microphone and ask it. And our phone number for text messages 775-384-4444.
We're talking to Victor from Precision Diamonds. Victor, we have talked before about the fact that you started 27 years ago in Park Lane Mall in a little kiosk. You are now in your own building across the street from the convention center. You've had to do something right.
Well, as we like to think that hard work, you like to think that it does pay off, but you get lucky along the way. You worked hard, you pay attention, and you get yourself ready. So hopefully when the right opportunity comes up to buy a beautiful building like we just have, you triple your size, you cut your overhead by half, and now you know that you're more competitive than ever.
Plus, you've had a chance to use all of the things you learned from that little kiosk in Park Lane Mall.
Oh, man, along the way, I'll tell you, as far as writing that lease check every month, boy, there were times that it was really hard to do, so you learn from your landlords, and it was really great feeling to say goodbye to the landlord. This has allowed us to truly become your local jeweler, your personal shopper.
Thank you, Victor. Precision Diamonds, your local jeweler across from the convention center. You hear it all the time. Buy local, think local, eat local, choose local, grow local. But who the heck really is local? You can shop with locals at the Nevada Marketplace in the Reno Town Mall and search for locals at buynevadafirst.com. We're all local all the time.
Text and whatever. Just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Want to expand your advertising dollar? Sponsor this or any America Matters program by calling 775-827-8900, extension 2. Now back to the show.
All right, we're back now to the final segment of America Matters with Eddie Floyd, Leo Zacky, and Shay Diane. If you're in the audience and you want to step in and ask a question, you're sure entitled to. If you're driving around and want to stop by, it's Reno Town Mall. Come on in and we'll get you behind the microphone. Or you can call 844-790-8255. Or if you want to, text a question, 775-384-4444. Got a question just a little while ago from the fact when Eden was on here. Okay, and just had a call from George. Apparently George, unless it's George Eddie Lorton, he says, may I have Eden's phone number? I want to advertise with America Matters Media. Certainly, George, you can, because she said you can. Her phone number is 775-223-7944. Let me say it again. Give her a call. Her and Kelly Rush know so much about promotion and advertising for America Matters Media, along with Jan Hermson too, but give her a call, and that's 775-223-7944. As a matter of fact, Kelly Rush has Reno Sparks 411 this afternoon. Going to be a great show, so you're not going to want to miss it. It airs today, and I believe it's 3 p.m., if I'm not mistaken, 3 to 4 p.m. today, and that's Reno Sparks 411. Leo, final questions or comments or topics that you want to bring up, brother?
Well, I think, everybody is really excited that Elon Musk has bought Twitter, but at the same time, they're a little curious as to why he hasn't reinstated Twitter accounts like Alex Jones, and we're still waiting for Trump to make a tweet on there. I think that a lot of people are just enthralled with this man for all the wrong reasons, and I consider him a globalist, and he's definitely not a good person at the end of the day, and I think that the globalists are also playing a hand on him as well. I think they're forcing him not to allow the free speech of folks like Alex Jones to come back, and because they can threaten to tank his $44 billion investment, which would absolutely, really hurt him from a financial standpoint. But I look how people are groveling to Elon Musk as if he's the king of free speech. Free speech is a constitutional right, and whether it exists on Twitter or not is irrelevant. And people have the power and the choice to leave these social media platforms and go to other independent platforms that other patriots are developing outside of the matrix, and that's where we need to go.
Leo, I'm going to jump in real quick, and before I go to Shay, because he wants to respond, but I'm going to jump in and just kind of tell you a different angle to look at Elon Musk, okay? Mm-hmm. I think people are mesmerized because, it's the first time the right side of the aisle has had someone in his category as far as wealth get 100% behind them. He said I believe it was this weekend, He said, if Ron DeSantis runs, I'm going to vote Republican. I've normally voted Democratic, but I would vote for Ron DeSantis. You know who I'm talking about, the king of Florida.
Yes, sir.
So I do agree with that. But the other thing that I've got to tell you is I think Elon Musk is a very shrewd businessman. Okay. And I think he knows every step he's making. If he doesn't, he's got some really well-paid advisors to tell him. But I think it's the fact that we finally have, and when I say we, I'm talking about the right side of the aisle, conservative, not the rhinos. I'm talking about true conservatives, finally have someone saying he cares about freedom of speech, when on the other side of the aisle, they only care about freedom of speech as long as it's what they want to hear, Leo, period.
Well, no, I do hear that. I think he's like what you said earlier. He's a double-edged sword. I think if we wield him properly, he can be beneficial, but we have to be careful because he's still someone who developed brain chips for DARPA, and he does advocate for helping putting brain chips into people. Mm-hmm. So that's a big concern of mine, and
well, now, wait a minute. This brain chip, is that for tracking, or is that to help improve their intelligence? Because I might go for that.
Well, Eddie, you're a very smart man. Don't play that Florida card too hard.
All right. Okay, thank you, Leo. Shay, you wanted to respond on what?
Yeah, basically, what the 13 families that we discussed earlier, they control what propaganda is. Yes. Yeah. So they don't really control our minds. They don't control what happens, but they control what propaganda is and how it becomes effective. So
I think they control our money. Those 13 families.
Money, it's the media, the propaganda that gets put out there. Go on, Shay.
It's basically the story of the golden calf. They control the money, we control the intelligence. But all in all, in the final story of the golden calf, you had the people of Israel and the people of the golden calf just say Moses was true and his Torah was true. So you can't really dance on both sides of the aisle. You can't build stacks and be right 100% of the time. So basically, back to Elon Musk, is he's doing what he thinks is right, and he's an immigrant to this country from South Africa. Mm-hmm. He was not born here.
No, and he's also, half black and half white too. So who's going to call him a racist?
Oh, maybe that's why he's so rich.
Okay, maybe. Yeah. Who knows? But Leo, we do have to, in my opinion, be careful. Now, I do want to end today's show on something that's been bothering me. Remember how in the last hour we talked about those borders being open and the crime rate going through the roof? Okay, what's it been doing in California?
I mean, I get reports all the time of ridiculous crimes taking place in parts of town that you would never expect it to. Right. My friend in Santa Monica just sent me a photo of a car that had its rear windshield smashed in Santa Monica, a block from where he lives. And I get updates all the time of whether there's a stabbing or a shooting that takes place over there. You have all sorts of illegals coming into this country, and they either are criminals that were released from their country's prisons to come here, or they just don't care about the laws, or maybe they have a mental illness and they'll do anything to make a buck or to survive. And our police are unable to enforce the law because of the legislature that's passed. And then even when they do, it's a revolving door with the prison system here.
And by the way, I'm scared. I'm going to go to you, Shay, but I'm scared right now when you say they don't mind to break the law. Look at the laws California has right now. You just said that anything under, what is it, $900 and something?
Yeah, $950.
$950. You walk into a jewelry store and you just break the thing. You grab a ring, you walk out. As long as it's under $950, you're going to get a ticket. Like a parking ticket.
Like a $951 ticket.
Can you imagine? I mean, is that not, in my opinion, I think that is absolutely supporting crime. That's saying, hey, just keep it down low so that it's acceptable.
You know what Malachi, the prophet, says about bad cops. Oh. He said that God won't destroy their district or their building. He won't punish them like he punished the civilians. Yeah, he's going to mock them.
Oh, wow. Well, you know what? I tell you what we do need. We need to look at what's taking place, Leo. You take a look at every city in the United States of America where crime is rampant, and I guarantee you it is a blue-run city. Am I wrong?
No, you're not. And that's the sad truth, is these policies from the left that are always pushed ahead with the disguise of diversity or equality or equity or whatever bogus nonsense they want to pass with it. It always winds up hurting the people of those communities.
Mm-hmm. You know, think about this for a minute, Leo. Okay, AOC. You know, think about her in politics, for example. What background does she have in politics? Why did they vote for her? Because she was a good-looking bartender?
I mean,
because that's exactly what she was. And I can tell you this: is she good-looking? Yeah, sure.
I don't know. I would argue she's not good-looking.
Well, no, you know what? I'll argue. You've never sat in a bar until midnight drunk like me, okay? Because I guarantee you at midnight, she's a beauty queen.
Oh, I think her body is more important than her head.
Probably. But you know what? Instead of poking fun, let me tell you what. Ready? Bless her heart. She needs to leave the political career that she has been given, like so many people have been given political careers. Take a look at this, for example. Kamala Harris. Did she ever truly win anything, Leo, or was she just given offices?
Well, she definitely had to stick her neck out for it.
Uh-huh.
Who just gives away offices? Can I get one?
Well, yeah. If you go to San Francisco, you probably can. If you want to date the mayor or the governor, you know, you can get a nice position, you know, because I've seen that happen in California. Am I that far off base, Leo?
No, I mean, she's used her head to get there.
All right, that's enough of that. This is a family show. All right. That being said, Leo, we have legal tomorrow. We have a legal show tomorrow. And then I'm really excited because come Wednesday, we're going to open it up again. We're going to open it wide open along with Friday. Open mic seems to be the one that everybody wants to get involved with. You know why? Because it's not Eddie Floyd, it's not Leo Zacky, and it's not Shay Diane who matter. It's the people who call in, who come in and get behind a microphone. Your opinion matters to everybody at America Matters Media. So like you heard me say, go ahead, elaborate on it.
Because if you have people come in and talk, then you have people who come in and listen, and they don't have to come in to listen. They just have to tune the radio. They preset their radio to 93.7 FM, and they listen because they're involved. They're part of the effort.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? Take this for example. Retired district judge from District 2 in the state of Florida, Hal Taylor, got involved in our show the first hour, and he's still involved today, saying just about 5 minutes ago, great show, guys. I'm proud of everybody. And that's a district judge appointed, by the way, to be a district judge in the state of Florida. Now, remember, if a judge can be conservative like Hal Taylor is, then we need more judges like that, not just on the Supreme Court, but in the district judge base, too.
Huh.
You agree, Leo?
Yeah, we need to have judges that are willing to, actually follow the law the way it's written and not abuse the power that they have, because they set the precedents. And, look what's happened to Alex Jones. They've gone outside the laws of the precedents, and now you have a man owing over $1 billion for his ability to use freedom of speech. That's what we have to stop.
Amen. Leo, I'm going to share this with everybody watching and everybody listening to America Matters with Eddie Floyd and Leo Zacky and Shay Diane today, because it was another media company that contacted me. I don't have permission to say their name on the air, that said, Eddie, why don't you have Leo do his very own show about all the good things in California? And to which I responded, I've got the perfect name for all the good things in California. It would be called California Dreaming with Leo Zacky. Right, Leo?
Well, there are a lot of good things, but
I know it, buddy. Hey, listen, I want to thank you for today. I'll be calling you later this afternoon. We're going to map out this week. Thanks for being a part of my life and a part of America Matters Media, Leo.
Thank
and
you.
you too, Shay.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you all for tuning in.